Welcome back, Shalligators. I know I've been missing in action for a while, but if you guys have been watching my last video and checking out my Instagram, you know I've been having some health drama. I had some surgery I had to recover from. It looks like I've got like 4 bullet holes in my tummy. It's wild, but I'm doing a lot better, and I was not about to leave you hanging with the biggest news we've heard in a while. Kourtney Kardashian is engaged to Travis Barker. I know, man. We're going to break this all down. I've got a whole bunch of thoughts on this. We're also going to talk about maybe what's next for one of their other couple friends, Megan Fox and MGK. Like, are they going to run off and get engaged? TBD. But most importantly, what can we learn from this, right? What can we learn? What about signs that actually you found your soulmate? I'm going to break down 6 ways to know, based on science, based on psychology, and based on just like human compatibility and interaction. How do you know if you've found your soulmate? Truly, what is it that makes a relationship work? We're going to get into it. But before we do, just want to remind you guys to come join me in the Dominican Republica e Costa Rica. We're going to live the pura vida in Costa Rica, and we're going to live whatever the motto of the Dominican Republic is. I don't know. I love the Dominican. I've gone I think this will be like my 8th time, my 12th. I've been there a million times. I love it. We're going to the Dominican. I think we have 1 spot left. We're going in February 2nd to the 6th. It's going to be so much fun. And over Memorial Day 2022. Gosh, is it 2022 already? Ugh. It's so bizarre. We are going to Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is going to be a little bit more active. I'm bringing our own dedicated yoga instructor and photographer. That's going to be super fun. We're going to be like hiking volcanoes and kayaking and stuff, but like not too much. Don't worry. There's still going to be plenty of like cocktail time on the beach and Shalligator hangout time. The Dominican's going to be a little bit more cultural. We're going to take a dance class, a cocktail making class. We're going to go to the beach. So it depends on kind of what your vibe is, but either way, either vacation is going to have tons of hang time with me. You're going to get so sick of me. I'm so excited. We're all going to be best friends. I mean, we do. I've done these trips before, and like we all come out besties, and we're all like on a WhatsApp chat together like for the rest of our lives. It's fantastic. Also, I have some sad news. Flays is shutting down. I know. I did not see this coming. It's not my company, obviously. Flays is the uncensored, ad-free, subscription-only platform that we post like our sex tutorials on. Evil Week has been over there the last few years. Yeah, they're shutting down. If you got an email about it, you were just as surprised as me. I got no more heads up than anybody else did. So I'm working on some things behind the scenes that are going to give us kind of a little bit more exclusive experience here, some exclusive content. There's a whole bunch of stuff launching. I know I haven't been doing a ton of videos, and not just because of my health, but I've been working on some other projects for you guys. We've got clothing coming out, more jewelry, and something a little, should I tell you? Okay, a course that you can download. We're going to have 3 of them, and they're going to help you with what is going on in your love life, whether that's getting an ex back, body image, first dates. I got you, girl. So it's going to be kind of like one-on-one Shallon University. I think it's going to be super fun. We're going to launch that in a month or 2, just in time for holiday. So a lot of really exciting stuff is coming. Okay, let's talk about exciting stuff coming from Kourtney and Travis. You know what's interesting is like we forget this is Kourtney's first engagement. She was never engaged to that trick bitch, Scott Disick. And people are like, Scott, are you okay? I hope he ain't. Because, did you guys ever see the movie Hope Floats? It was with Sandra Bullock. Like, it's old, but there's this one part, and in the movie, like, Sandra Bullock is, like, rejecting Harry Connick Jr. Can you imagine? And her mom is like, I think her name's Birdie. Like, Birdie, you think that behind every chance there's another, and it's the worst kind of extravagance. That has always stuck with me. You think that behind every chance there's a million more. And truly, what is more extravagant and frivolous than thinking you're always going to get a shot with this person, with this job, with this opportunity? Life moves on. And boy, oh boy, Scott Disick should have watched Hope Floats. Brother, ugh. They were on and off for like a decade. That motherfucker never proposed to her because, and he even would say recently in episodes like, you know, we're going to find our way back to each other. There was never any sense of urgency with their relationship. There was truly never the sense with him that she's going to move on. She is really going to get sick of my shit. And she's going to, one day she is really going to be done. I bring this up because I think we all have guys in our life who look at us like that. Oh, she's mad. Okay, see you tomorrow. Do you know why they think that? Because we do keep going back. We teach people how to treat us. And what we permit, we promote. I have an ex that I deal with, and it's like I've cut him off so many times, and he basically doesn't believe me. And you know what? I wouldn't believe me either. Because when he calls, when we run into each other, like it's the same googly-eyed bullshit all the time. And it's like, not that Kourtney is responsible for Scott's failure as a man, but she is responsible for him thinking, I'm just going to keep calling her bluffs, nothing ever is going to change. Of course, now something has changed. And I'm so happy for her, and I'm so proud of her. I mean, even though, like, we talked about this relationship, I don't understand it. And, like, I want to love their ostentatious relationship, but I don't. You know why? Social media. They keep posting these pictures of her, like, jumping on top of him, even though he's, like, 135 pounds and she's, like, 115 or whatever. Like, you don't, like, do that pose, that, like, koala bear pose with a dude who is, like, basically your height. Like, you do it with a guy who's 6'4", 230, like, rah, just like a fucking beast, where you're like, I'm just a tiny koala woman. It looks so dumb. And then they also post, like they were backstage right before they got engaged. They were backstage at Saturday Night Live. Why? Okay. But they post pictures making out on the couch, and not just one, like a gallery of 8 photos from the same couch makeout where her shoulders were a little different, her head was down, they were smiling. It's like, we fucking get it. We all get it. There's something very, like, juvenile about this relationship, but also you kind of love it because we all want to feel that intensity. You know, I said I was going to bring up MGK and Megan Fox because they're like this, like, weird rhombus of, like, tongue-kissing besties. You know, they're just, like, the same outfits and just so bizarre. I actually love MGK and Megan Fox together. I know there's really not a rhyme or reason. I should love Kourtney and Travis better, but I don't. I love weird-ass MGK and Megan Fox and their, like, bizarre intensity because they're so fucking weird. They're like every couple you see at Hot Topic, like, Frenching by the keychains. You're just like, what's wrong with you? But there's something about it, like, I am here for. Because I think we all look at these couples and how over the top they are, and we're like, oh. But also, I mean, like, I wish I was so in love that I didn't care or know how cringy I was being online. Do you know what I mean? I wish I had that level of intensity where I'm like, I don't even care. Am I embarrassing myself? I don't care. Don't we all want to be fools in love? So in that sense, I'm happy for him. So here's what happened. He proposed. They're out in New York. I guess they were in the Hamptons or something. Ugh, the Hamptons, like, in the winter. No thanks. He had 1 billion roses. He proposed. Oval diamond ring. It looks exactly like Hailey Baldwin's to me. I think Hailey got there first, which is interesting because Kourtney also fucked Justin, and this is the ring Justin gave to Hailey, and now it's Hollywood. It's just such a, talk about a rhombus. Anyway, so it's this beautiful ring. I don't know, it's worth, you know, some jewelers are saying $1 million. I don't think so. Like $350, somebody else said. Okay, they're engaged, they're in love. Yay! What do you think this wedding's gonna be like? Do you think it's gonna be like, I bet it's gonna be like some weird Alice in Wonderland thing, like gothy. What are we here to learn? Some of you guys said, I want a video on how to turn a friend into a boyfriend. I do too. I don't know how to do that. And I've said before, like, I will cover any topic. I will research. I will draw from my own experiences. I have a almost endless supply of romantic experiences, except for this one. I don't know how to turn a friend into a boyfriend. I have no fucking idea. You know why? I fuck all my guy friends. I don't fuck them. But, like, I at least make out with them. So I'm like the Terminator. I meet a dude. I come out of the womb looking for dick. Like, I love boys. I've always been boy crazy. I look at a guy and I instantly scan him for dateability. Instantaneously. I have never encountered a man where I'm like, I've never thought about it that way. I'm a woman. He's a man. This is what our species are hardwired to do. Mateable, not mateable. And I also don't have, like, guy friends. Like, they're dudes I've hooked up with, at the very least made out with, so, like, that sexual tension is out of the way, and then we can be friends. But not to the point where we hang out, like, a lot. I do have a guy friend right now that we're like in this dance, but we like each other. Like, we like each other. His girlfriend probably doesn't, but tough shit. Anyway, so I have never really gone from like friend to boyfriend. Now, true, I haven't had a guy friend where long enough, like we've been in each other's lives where I've seen him measurably change. Because this can happen. Like, he glows up. He actually gets a job. He graduates from Princeton. You're like, oh. And suddenly there's new data. That's the thing. There's new data that you input and you're like, oh, now I'm spitting out a different result. I've never really had that. And I don't understand how, if you aren't tallying new data, like if he hasn't changed, why you're like, I just looked at him differently one day. Did you do that out of desperation though? Seriously. When I have like mined the depths of like my guy friends, like, well, maybe I like Ethan. You know what I was? I was desperate. I was heartbroken over someone else. I was lonely. My ego was low. I needed an ego boost. Whatever you want to call it, it was not good. It was not good. So I'm very curious how this happens. Tell me, if you guys went from BFF to boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm super curious because Travis and Courtney were friends and neighbors for a long time. Oh God. Sorry, something popped up on my calendar. They went from friends, to like lovers, and not just like, oh, we've like slipped into this like very comfortable, like well worn in, like Chinese food and sweatpants love. No, like public finger blasting love. And like, that's so odd to me. Like, was there always sexual tension? I'm so confused. So that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 6 ways to know if you've met your soulmate. Soulmates. The one. Finally, he's here. Prince Charming. We as women are hardwired to think that there is just that. The one. I personally don't believe so. I believe that soulmates and love are like outfits in seasons, right? You have your favorite winter outfit. You have your favorite basic bitch fall outfit. You have your favorite summertime look by the beach, right? You do not take that outfit and wear it all year round. It wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't be convenient. It wouldn't actually fit what was going on and meet your needs. I believe people are the same way. As we have seasons in our life, so do we have shifting soulmates. Who you are at 16 is hopefully not who you are at 26, 36, 76. You have different needs. At least you should if you're growing. But we'll get to that. So let's break down the 6 pillars of soulmateness. How to know if you really have met the one. Are you just infatuated? Are Courtney and Travis, are MGK and Megan Fox? Maybe they should go through this checklist too. Let us begin. Number 1. We're going to kind of go through the progression of relationships. There is a feeling of ease right from the beginning. I've been to a lot of weddings. I know a lot of married people. Do you know how many weddings I've been to where the best man, best woman, what's it called? Lady of honor? I don't want to get married again. As you can probably tell. Where any of the speeches involve like, so, okay, I'm sure you guys remember when Casey and Tyler, like, they stopped talking because, like, he ghosted her and then she, like, fucked his best friend. Do you guys remember that? I've never heard that. Never heard these stories at a wedding. You know what I hear? She came home from the first date and she's like, it just felt so right. Those are the stories I hear. Things are right when they're easy. Sometimes I want to wring Shakespeare's neck for coming up with the phrase, the course of true love never did run smooth. That is actually absolute horseshit. The course of life never ran smooth. Yes, people get sick. They lose their jobs. In-laws are annoying. There's war. Like, life is going to throw things at you. Within your relationship, things should not be thrown at you. Well, I mean, you know, they cheat. And then they ghost. And then we don't have sex for 8 months. No, girl. No. When I look back on my relationships that reached fruition, Whether that was we were in a long-term relationship, we became boyfriend, girlfriend, we got married. There was not that strife. There just wasn't. There was a sense of ease right from the start. When I met my husband, I knew he was the one for that season, and seasons do change, unfortunately. I mean, he is still the most incredible person. We'll love him forever. Does that mean we're eternally compatible? Unfortunately, it does not. Is it something I struggle with? Yes, all the time. But I knew something was different because, like, you know, when you're angsting about, like, the text to send a guy, it's like, well, I mean, I don't know. Are we going out on Tuesday? He, like, mentioned it, but I haven't heard from him. And what should I say? And do you want to co-author this text? And if he says this, there's just that spiral of neuroses that didn't exist with him. He was answering questions before I even thought to ask them. Hey, on Tuesday, I'm going to pick you up at 7. We're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to get drinks after. You might want to bring a coat because we're going to be outside sometime. What? I felt taken care of. Not just logistically with our plans and our dates. Emotionally. He was asking about me. He was making sure I was comfortable, that I felt safe, that we were going at a pace that was okay. He was sharing his feelings. He was going out on the emotionally risky limb, not drawing me out there. Well, I don't know if you're my girlfriend. But I want to be your girlfriend. There was none of that bullshit. There really were no games. Now, courtship is gamesmanship. It is, and it should be. You're not putting out right away. You're waiting a little bit before you text back. You're withholding some of the more embarrassing stories on date number 1 through 6. You know, okay, those are the normal courtship games. But when you get into the gamesmanship where you are constantly ill at ease, where does this go? Look, sometimes it turns out. Sometimes we can keep it between the navigational beacons. Sometimes we have to dump a guy. He's got to grow up. He comes back. He's a different person. Okay. But is this how we want to write it? Is this, we talk about our cocktail party moment, right? And how we get caught up in the mythology of a relationship. My cocktail party moment that I'm dealing with. If you guys watched my video on my hospital drama, I had been talking on Hinge to a boy before I got sick who turned out to be my hospital pharmacist, like 2 doors down from my hospital room, and was like very up on my case and like hand delivering my meds. And like we actually went out the other day and we had a really good time and he was really cute. And I know I'm kind of a smitten kitten, but it's hard not to get caught up in that cocktail party moment. I mean, is there a cuter meet cute than like he stuck his head into my hotel room? It's not a hotel. Into my hospital room, and like that was technically our first date. He was the only visitor I was allowed to have because of COVID. Like, you get caught up in that mythology, right? But let us focus on a pleasant mythology. We met. It was so easy. We were both in Miami at the same time. We had an amazing weekend. He followed up. We visited. The rest is history. This is the good cocktail party moment. The bad cocktail party moment is, well, yeah, so we didn't talk for 9 months, and he was actively trying to fuck my sister. But, you know, after that, and after he went to rehab, things really, you know, they just really turned around. Okay. That's a turd you can polish, as they say. But do you want to? Perhaps not. So let's focus on how do we feel? Because if we feel ill at ease and anxious dealing with a guy, and this sounds so basic because it is, and sometimes in relationships we get so far away from the basic that we kind of have to pull ourselves back to just the remedial basics. Like, if it's not making us happy, why are we doing it? Well, no, Shallon, he is making me happy. Like when I see him, I'm so happy. But it's like when I don't see him and he's like ghosting me and like giving me one word text. Okay. But which is the majority of your interaction? You maybe see him, get granular, 2 hours a week at 11 p.m. or 45 minutes of those 2 hours you sucking his dick. I don't know. The rest of the time, are you just in this misery state? What's the return on investment there? If this was a business investment, well, I get 2 cents back for every $1,000 I invest. No, that's good. Is it? Let's redefine happiness. Let's redefine success in a relationship. Let's redefine ease and anxiety. Point number 2 relates to point number 1. Acceptance. Studies show that this is crucial in terms of compatibility and finding a life partner. You accept them. Now look. Acceptance means I accept them as their worst and I am not in a constant state of trying to change them. Okay, hold on. I know what you're thinking. If you're dealing with fuckboy, you're like, oh, I do accept him. No, I accept him drinking at 8 a.m. and relentlessly trying to fuck my sister. And no, I accept that. So we are good. Is this something you should accept? Would you want your best friend to accept this? If you put it like that, are you looking at things perhaps through a different lens? The reason we say acceptance is important is because it hints at maturity and a lack of desperation. What do you mean, Shallon? What do you mean? No, if anything, if you're willing to accept someone, you are more desperate. No. If you are willing to look at someone for who they are, right now, today, snapshot, not the potential, because you can't date potential, not the nostalgia of who they were when you guys were both rushing in your fraternities and sororities and you fell in love, because you can't date nostalgia. Who are they today? How much money do they make today? Are they trying to be a professional vapor or fucking whatever? Who are they right at this moment? If this never changes, if this snapshot is actually chiseled into stone and they never change, their job doesn't change, their thoughtfulness doesn't change, their sex drive doesn't change, is this okay for you? Does this meet your needs in the long term? Are you asking yourself this? If you are, and if you're saying, I accept this for who they are now, this is not a fixer-upper man. I am not a rehab for broken people, okay? I'm not dating nostalgia. I'm not trying to date potential. I am looking at the reality of this person and really looking at the reality of my needs and saying, yeah, we actually really align. This is great. Why is this hinting at maturity? Because you are accepting that people actually kind of don't change. This is something we learn as we grow up, you know? If you're young, you're in high school, college, yes, people do change, but not as much as we want them to, and God knows not at the pace that we want them to. Talk about this all the time. An avocado. You can't force ripen a fucking avocado. You think you can do it with a person? If only he would just realize his potential and learn to communicate. Okay, girl, he may never. Like the outside of someone can change. Oh, they're going to get fitter. Maybe they might get less fit. They're going to go out and get a job and kind of put that party boy lifestyle away. Okay, that's maybe the shell that someone comes in. Their general thoughtfulness, empathy, communication skills, actually, probably aren't going to change a whole lot. Not to the degree that you want. I know we were just talking about guy friends, but my guy friends from high school, the ones who our moms were all obsessed with in high school, oh, Adam and Brian, they're just great. They were great back then and they are great now. They've polished themselves, but they were very communicative, self-aware, empathetic, thoughtful when they were 16. The guys who were absolute bags of shit back then, the ones I dated, of course, still bags of shit. I've talked to you a lot about my high school boyfriend who we got back together when we were 25 and he beat the shit out of me. He did not get better. People, for the most part, they don't do a 180 in their personality. They don't. If anything, they entrench deeper into who they are and they get better at manipulating the world to accept who they are, right? He was able to act that way because he made so much money. People didn't call him on things because he was usually the most powerful person in the room. So why would he suddenly learn how to communicate and learn to respect women? No, big pass. Acceptance also means you're not desperate. I know, it seems wait, no, I'm accepting. That means I'm settling. No. It's not settling if you're looking at the actual viability of this person in relation to the viability of your needs and how those two things interact, right? That's not settling. You're No, this is actually who I am compatible with. I know myself. What I want, what I say I want, a lacrosse player, a preppy guy, a cowboy. Okay, those aren't traits, right? Those aren't needs to be met. What I need someone who maybe lets me wear the pants in a relationship, who maybe doesn't challenge me. I don't know. I'm just throwing these things out there. This is not what I need. But if you know who you are and you know what you need, of course it's not settling, it's compatibility. And again, this hints at a lack of desperation because you're not trying to change someone, hold on to this guy, date that potential, date that nostalgia. Please make this fit. Please make this work because I can't be alone. I cannot be alone. This has to work. We have to make it work. The true lack of desperation is bye. We talk about this in terms of confidence. True confidence is not, I know they're going to love me. I know everyone's going to love me. True confidence is, I'm fine if they don't. Okay? I like me. I love me. If you want to love me, fantastic. If you don't, okay. Right? World of difference between those two personalities and those two vibes. Same in terms of dating. Let's keep moving. Number 3. Chemistry, man. We're going to keep this one brief. You cannot have someone who's just good on paper. I know, right? Can you imagine how much easier life would be if you could have sex with anyone? Think about it. Like Lala Kent, her, right? From Vanderpump Rules. Can anyone explain to me the appeal of that show? It's about waiters. Never have I ever gone out to dinner and been like, I wish there was a TV show about the wait staff here. Literally, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't get it. Anyway, she's dating or is engaged to this man who is like completely triangular, very unattractive. And it's like, girl, I've always heard she was like pay for play. Yeah, she was hoeing. Bitch, get it. I've been giving it away like an absolute chump. So if you can charge for it, atta girl. Seriously, like I'm in awe of women who are like escorts. I'm like, good for you, dude. Like, this is amazing. I'm an idiot. Okay. But like, she clearly can manufacture chemistry perhaps where the rest of us cannot. For those of us who are not in the Lala Kent category, we have to have chemistry. Don't tell yourself that sex isn't really that important. It is the glue that binds you. It is the cataracts of love, right? It's that blurry sort of edge that takes off the sharp corners of someone's annoying personality. Have you ever been like so into a guy? And I went through this with an ex recently. Like, I remember when we first started dating, I was like vibrating with desire. Like, I couldn't even be around him. And after we broke up, like we're friends now, I'm like, oh, like I have zero sexual attraction and I find him beyond annoying. Beyond annoying. It's sexual chemistry blunts those edges. It makes someone tolerable. It makes them tolerable. If you don't have that, I don't know. Can you grow chemistry? No. We actually broke this down on our video about, what's it called? Love is Blind. Remember that show? Because these people, they had this amazing cerebral connection, but it was like Mark and that girl who always had the red wine stain on her lips, and she was just so mean to him, whatever her name was. She's like, you're 31. And she was like 34. You're like, okay, weird. He's not 17. Like, he's a full-grown adult. Anyway, but we talked about, can you manufacture chemistry and what to do if you don't have it? So check that out. Number 4, this is a big one. Recreation. There's actually pillars of compatibility, and we talked about this, I do believe, in a video about Travis and Kourtney, because outwardly, they don't seem to have much in common. But you guys pointed out, and I really appreciate it, that, like, actually they kind of do. Like, they're both weirdly into, like, matcha and, like, bone broth and, like, weird shit. And there's just enough that overlaps that they do get along, you know, it fuels them. But we were talking about one of the key pillars of compatibility, and I didn't want to just repeat them here, but go check those videos out, is, do you recreate in the same way? Do you have hobbies that overlap? I'm dating here in Montana, and if I have to read the words adventure buddy on a Tinder profile one more time, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself. Guys out here, they don't just want a girl with similar hobbies. They want a clone. They basically want to date their best friend Tyler. Like, do you guys just want to jerk off and cry together? Do you just want to date a mirror Kanye West? Like, do you want to date your actual double? I want a girl who can like fish and hunt and skin a deer. And I hear this all the time. Bonus points if you can row. Row? Like a boat? Like rowing? To where? Why? Why do I need to do that? Am I a fucking Viking? I'm not rowing. And imagine if it was inverted. I'm just looking for a guy who's like really into contour and could do like a winged liner. Like bonus points if you can like curl your hair with a flat iron. Oh no, because it's not cool for a guy to be into girl shit, but girls have to be into guy shit because it's actually embarrassing to be a girl. Is that where we're going with this? Listen, I'm not saying I want to date a dude who wears winged eyeliner. I don't. But I also don't want to be like a fucking dude bro, like grabbing my crotch and eating jerky 24 hours a day. I'm a woman. I'm a lady. I say this because it can skew too far in the other direction. Like guys want, I think it hints at a deep one-dimensionality when a guy can only date a woman with their exact same hobbies. It's like you actually don't want to grow and learn it all. But you don't want to go so far to the other side where you really don't have any recreation in common. My mom was a cardiac specialist for a long time, and her patients were old. And the ones who were old and still married and who seemed happy, you know, they come in holding hands. She would ask them, like, what do you think the secret is? Or tell us about it. All of the couples danced. They all danced. They had that in common. And that generation, they could do the foxtrot and the waltz, but they recreated together. It was something physical, which releases endorphins and bonding hormones. It was something you could get better at. You could kind of be a little competitive. It was social. You could go out and do it. You could also stay in and do it in practice. But that really underscored to me the power of recreation. My husband and I did not recreate in the same ways at all. He was a developer, like a software developer, brilliant person, but more introverted. You know, he was more into like staying home and having that quiet life. I was not. I was a girl about town, you know? And so our ideas of a fun Friday night were not the same. Our ideas of a fun Saturday morning, not the same. And you don't want to think that your relationship lives and dies by like, what time do we get up in the morning? Do you want to do the crossword puzzle? Do you want to go drink mimosas? But it kind of does. Because your needs are going to get met. Your psyche will be hurt. His psyche was like, I don't want to go to these events. I don't want to do this. He didn't even really drink. I didn't want to go out and he didn't want to go out and day drink with me at brunch. I did. And so at some point, you reach this situation where it's like, okay, well, he's going to do his thing and I'm going to do mine. That creates a divide. And those divides only get wider, you know? So if you can't come up with something as a joint recreation, and I remember towards the end of our marriage, you know, I was trying, probably not as hard as I should have, but I'm like, let's just pick a sport and get into it. Like as fans, soccer, lacrosse, rugby, football, hockey, tennis, I don't care. Pick the sport, pick the team. We're going to go full fucking throttle into this. We're going to be fans. We're going to go. And we just didn't. And I latched onto that because I realized how deficient our relationship was in terms of recreation, right? Kourtney and Travis, they might recreate in exactly the same way. They both like Disneyland. Her Disney thing is very peculiar, but okay. Number 5. This dovetails into this. Shared goals. Shared goals. Now, it's important to remember with all of these pillars, you can't extrapolate. It's like, well, we have that one. We both really like the Chicago Bears. That's great. Do you also have sexual chemistry? Do you have acceptance? Do you have a lack of anxiety from the start? And this one is very important as we are developing adult relationships. Shared goals. When you're young, high school, college, your shared goals are sort of built in. It's like, well, we're both in school, so yeah, our goal is to graduate, you know, our goal is to get our degree. So there's a lack of like asking those kinds of questions. If you're older, if you're thinking about someone in terms of a possible life partner, a husband, someone you live with even, because remember, you move in with someone, you move out, it's a fucking divorce. It is a nightmare. Do not unjudiciously move in with someone. We've done videos on it. I'll do more. But as you get older, you have to ask yourself, what are we building? What is this moving towards? It's a partnership. Okay, a business partnership? What's the business? What's the product? What are we selling? Interpersonal relationships are not so different. Friendships, we don't necessarily have to have those end markers, right? But we all know what it's like to have a friend who we're not like on the same page. Maybe she's in a party phase, you're like settled down with a boyfriend, vice versa. It's like, what are we moving towards? With my husband and I, we weren't building anything. We didn't want children. I mean, certainly at that point, like that was down the road, but that was like not a thing on our radar, you know? So we weren't talking about a family. We weren't planning a family. We didn't have a house. We lived in an apartment in New York City. So there wasn't like that as a project, which also ties into recreation. We didn't recreate in the same way. So it's not like we're both learning to swing dance together or learning German. Like there was no goal. And when there's no goal, what do you default to? Chemistry? How much can you really fuck? I mean, honestly, at some point you got to stop. You got to make a sandwich. You got to kind of start talking to each other. And it's like, what is this? What is this built on? Not like, in order to have a soulmate, you have to have a house. You have to want kids. But because like where I've talked a lot, I don't believe I want children is where I am now. And so I look at men and the people I date through a different lens. Whereas some people are like, oh, he's going to be a great dad. Won't he be a great dad? I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like this, I don't, ugh. You know, so I can't look at that as a box to check in terms of compatibility. I don't have that. So I'm like, no, that doesn't matter if he's going to be great at Little League. We're not doing that. How is he with me? What will we build together? Do we want to travel to the same places in the same way? Do we want to build a house out in the woods together? Do we want to like co-author a cookbook? Not that it has to be something that big, but we go back to the quote by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who wrote The Little Prince. Love is not two people looking at each other. It's two people looking out in the same direction. What direction are you looking in? Do you have the same basic goals? Because what you don't want to do is get into some Mexican standoff where you both think the other person's going to change their mind. Oh my fucking God. Do we see, as we get older, we see this in our friends, in our own lives. I have a friend, she's been dating someone for 10 years. 10 years. He's in his mid-30s. He wants kids. She doesn't. They both think they're going to change their mind. She knows she does not want children. He knows he does. And they're both like adults. Like they're not like 19. Like they know their own minds. And she's like, he's gonna change his mind. He doesn't really want kids. And I'm like, Dina, I think he does. Like why would he say this? Like, why do you assume that only you know yourself and he doesn't? Why would you even want to be with someone who you assume doesn't know their own mind and their own heart? Like, let's start there. I don't want to be partnered with someone who's like, I don't know. Do I want kids? I don't know. Not like people can't change their mind, but if you're assuming they're too dense to be telling themselves the truth and verbalizing it, hello? No. So you don't want to get in this situation. And it's hard, like, you don't want to start out the first date being like, well, do you want kids? Are you Jewish? Are you this and that? But look, man, if we're looking for a soulmate, if we're looking for a life partner, someone to build something with, yeah, you kind of do have to ask these questions. I do. And if a guy's like, I 100% want kids in the next 2 years, I know that they're probably not for me. Vice versa. They should know that about me. Don't get down the rabbit hole if I'm like, these nipples are right and tight. We are not doing anything with them. Thank you. Last but not least, are you growing together? This is where I do love Kourtney and Travis because they really do seem like they've grown. He has grown, and we see this in his whole plane thing. Like, he was in this horrible plane crash, I don't know, however many years ago, hasn't been on a plane since until he met Kourtney, and now he's like, with her, anything is possible. He has grown because of her. I mean, he can peg it to her. Perhaps he was just ready and she sort of gave him keys to unlock this house that he was ready to inhabit, right? This sort of emotional growth house. It doesn't matter. They are growing together. Again, this goes back to acceptance, a lack of desperation. And we think, well, wait a minute. I'm supposed to accept someone exactly as they are, but also like they're supposed to be growing? Yeah, I know. These things seem antithetical. But think about when you've grown the most in your life. Was it when someone was breathing down your neck? No. It's when you were like, all right, yes, I'm going to apply for law school. You know, it's when you gave yourself the room to discover things about yourself, listen to your own psyche. And when you had people in your life, not who were like nagging and browbeating you, but who were like, hey man, I'm your cheerleader. Cheerleaders don't play. Don't pass me the ball. This is your game. But I'm going to be here on the sidelines cheering you on. I believe in you. I see something great in you and I'm going to be cheering for you. But you're going to do this for yourself. You got this. That's really when we grow as people, isn't it? And that's when we feel good about ourselves. And also, that's when we look at our partner and we're like, you gave me just enough. You had that cheer, but no, I didn't pass you the ball. You didn't rush in and do that interception. You stayed in your lane and you let me figure out mine. What is that? What does that hint at? Respect? True belief in someone else? You got this. You got this. I believe in you. Also, the lack of desperation. I believe in you, but I'm not fighting this fucking battle for you. I'm not codependent. I don't care more about your problems than you care. I'm going to let you care, right? And if things don't change, if you're not growing, hey, my cheering time is over. I'm going to leave the field, right? Growing together also demonstrates, like I said, maturity. You want to be better as a person. You want to grow. But it also demonstrates the choice of compatibility. No, you're either compatible or you're not. No. Studies show that this is actually a fallacy. And it's something we default to absolve ourselves of any sort of growth that we might have to undertake. Well, I mean, we're just not compatible. Like, he just wants to, like, talk everything out. And, like, I'm sorry, when I'm mad, like, I'm deleting your number and I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. Is that mature? Does that create a better relationship ultimately? Does this get you the results you want? Are you after peace or victory? Maybe that way of behaving, icing someone out, stonewalling, maybe that isn't good. Maybe that isn't mature. And you can be like, well, we're just not compatible. Is that because you don't want to change and do the work? Ugh. Oh, fuck. I know, right? I know. Compatibility is in many ways a choice. Am I going to meet this person on a better plane of communication? Am I going to negotiate? Do you know what the definition of compromise is? Do you know what it is? Neither party gets what they want. I don't know. But seriously, think about it. It's not one person is 100% happy and 100% disappointed. It's, boop, we've moved a little closer. It's not 100% what I want, but it's 80%, and I'm willing to give that 20% to make my partner a little bit happier. Okay. That's compatibility. It is something we can choose and something we can practice. But we can't practice it if we're desperate to hang on to someone, right? We entrench into a victim narrative. He's just a fuckboy. If we don't know ourselves and truly what we need, okay, like, yeah, it feels good to stonewall someone when I'm mad, but what do I need out of a partner? I need a partner who's going to communicate. Well, that kind of means I need to communicate too. Okay. I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't honest about what I needed. Or I need a partner who's just going to let me run roughshod over them, who's a complete fucking beta male. When we know ourselves, we're more willing to get rid of these things that actually might not matter and compromise. We're like, fine, it's fine if he goes out with his friends every Tuesday night. You know what? I actually need more alone time than I think. I don't want to say that. I want to act like, no, you need to be around me all the time and just like lavishing me with attention. I actually don't really like that. It makes me sort of insane. I need my space. So, fine. Let him go play goofy golf with his dumb friends from work. Fine. Let it go. This isn't about your ego. This is about our mutual needs. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that compromise doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like acknowledgement of needs. Is this ideal for me and my ego? No. I want him to be all up in my pieces all the time. I'm obsessed with you. Is this what I need? No. No. I'm mature enough and self-aware enough to acknowledge that. So to recap, lack of anxiety from the start. Acceptance, chemistry, recreation, shared goals, growth together. I know these aren't things like, well, we both like Squid Games. No, it goes deeper than that. If we want to craft a relationship that's deep and true and wide and sturdy, we got to get real inside. What are we bringing to the table? And you know what Courtney says. I am the table. Tell me what you guys think about their relationship. Do you think it's going to go the distance? Do you think they're going to get married like ASAP? I kind of feel like they will. Like when you're older, he's 45, she's 42. Like, why wait? But then also, like, why even get married in the first place? Ugh. Contract with the government, honey. Just live together. Get that ring. Get that dick. Get a car, maybe. I don't know.